Greetings and welcome to the Dr. Dave Log Series. It is Thursday, October 9th, 2025. On Thursdays, we talk about knowledge and science. We're talking about tribalism this week. I'm going to be doing a brief detour for a couple of days to talk a little bit about the work of Jane Goodall and related issues. And I think you'll see how they're distinctly related to our discussion of tribalism. And as most of you likely already know, perhaps the world's most famous primatologist, Jane Goodall, died last week on October 1st at the age of 91. Encouraged by the perhaps equally famous paleontologist Louis Leakey, in the summer of 1960, she took up studying chimpanzees in the Gombe Stream Chimpanzee Reserve, now known as the Gombe Stream National Park in Tanzania. Perhaps most remarkably, she undertook her initial studies of chimpanzees in their natural habitats without any formal training as such. And by the way, her mother, Vane, accompanied her as well in the early going, living at the base camp while Jane went off to do her explorations and her field work. And I say groundbreaking intentionally because it's because of Jane Goodall's early work and her work throughout her life, quite frankly, that we learn so much more about chimpanzees than perhaps from any other source or any other person. And she describes her work in great detail, especially in one of her earliest books, In the Shadow of Man, and in various other books as well, and articles, etc. But among other things, she was shocked to discover that the chimpanzees are remarkably advanced in their thinking and able to do things that nobody thought possible previously. So among other things, one of the first things that she discovered was that they were meat eaters. And that was completely unknown previously. And that they were successfully able then to hunt small game and quite relished it when they were able to have some success in that regard. But even more remarkably, she talks about how she was absolutely blown away when she discovered very early on that chimpanzees used tools, such as long green grass stems, to hunt for insects like termites. They'd even modify their tools, such as picking up leafy twigs and then preparing them by stripping their leaves and so on. And so that meant that human beings were could no longer at least be defined by their tool-making abilities as a distinctive or unique feature of being human. So in that sense, again, at least with chimps, you could argue that they're tool users and to some limited degree tool makers as well. And her book goes on then to describe many incredible original details and kind of the foundational knowledge that we have about chimpanzees, including the remarkable similarities to human beings in terms of their relationships, in terms of their kissing behavior, in terms of their empathy, their different forms of play, and so much more. But the bottom line is that, and then we subsequently learned too that chimpanzees and humans share almost 99% of their genetic composition as well. So anyways, as I say, she provided then kind of our foundational knowledge then about the chimpanzees, their daily behaviors, their groups, the hierarchical nature of their societies, the gendered aspects, if you will, of chimp societies, as well as their cooperative strategies, including their grooming behaviors, and then also then their methods of dealing with conflict and the existence of violence within these societies. And thus, she goes on much later in her book to observe the following. Quote, "There is indeed a great deal in chimpanzee relationships to remind us of some of our own behavior, more perhaps than many of us would care to admit. Only by carrying on our research for years to come and studying the social structure in a group where blood relationships between the different individuals are known, shall we succeed in understanding the whole complex and intricate pattern." And so indeed, that's what I'm going to be taking up in tomorrow's vlog. We're going to be looking at some of the intricacies of their relationships and their methods of dealing with conflict, etc. So until then, may you and yours continue to create peace in your lives, nurture love in your hearts, and dole out hugs in abundance. Take care.